Where I was biking was all walking paths. It was one of those grassy areas between the neighborhoods. There's this long path that went at least 600 feet at a 25-degree angle. I was flying down the hill, having an absolute blast, and darted right through the parameters. My mom set these limits for a reason. Everything on the inside was close to houses and people. The outside, more specifically, the place where the path I was on, was barren. I rode along this path for about 10 minutes before I could only see some of the lights of the houses. After 15 minutes of riding along this path, I heard singing. It sounded about 30 to 40 feet in front of me. I stopped riding to hear it better. It was a woman's voice. She was singing Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles, but she wasn't singing the words, just the melody. Her voice was strange. You know how when you have phlegm in your throat, your voice gets scratchy? That's what her voice sounded like. I inch forward to try and see her. I get close enough to see the silhouette of hair bouncing up and down, like she was headbanging. I decide to get my flashlight out. And I'm thinking maybe this person needs help or something like that. Or maybe this is an insane person and the light will scare them away. So I take the flashlight out of my pocket, point it at her, and turn it on. The moment the light hit her, she stopped moving completely. She was facing away from me. She had disgusting hair that seemed to be sticking together in clumps of some kind, and some of her hair was ripped out too. She was wearing a very oversized bright red hoodie. I was almost too scared to move. I conjured up as much bravery as I could and said sorry in a very oops, this is the wrong room kind of way, but she didn't say anything. I turned off the flashlight and put it back in my pocket. Just as I was turning my bike around, she screams. She screams in an awful, high-pitched voice. I damn near pooped myself as I threw myself back onto my bike. I hear her voice getting closer and closer to me, and I start booking it as fast as I can. I don't look behind me, and I don't stop pedaling. Her screaming grew quieter and quieter until it dissolved into the howling of the wind. So there you go. Has anybody ever encountered something like that on a road or hiking or anything like that? I did, my ex did once. Okay, it was, he was in Tennessee, and there's down in the holler there, you're talking, let's see, what the heck's the name of the place? It's down back in the woods, or back in the holler, as they say. And there's these roads. I mean, there's no lights, there's no nothing. And back in the day, you really couldn't ride or walk around there, unless you want to get shot at. But anyway, he was walking along, him and his brother were walking along. They hiked into Kingsport. I believe it was Kingsport. And there's a stretch of road, and him and his brother were talking and walking. It was late at night, of course, close midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning. And this car comes up, and they didn't even hear this car. And it stops, and the door just opens. The passenger side door opens. But what the strange thing about it is that the guy, when you open the door, the inside light comes on, right? And somebody would be reaching over and coming back from opening the door. Well, that guy didn't move. But the door opened. The guy never said a word to them at all. And Ralph, his brother, was like, yeah, let's go. I could go for a ride. And Jerry's like, no, I don't think so. Thanks anyway. We're almost to where we're going. So they closed the door, and the car took off. But it never made a sound. And as it went down the road, the taillights had disappeared. But there were no bends. It was a straight road. And they never heard the car and never seen it. I mean, saw it again after that. They arrived to his aunt's house and went upstairs to bed. And they're laying there. I don't know. It must have been that kind of night. And up comes this green mist up the stairs. But you could hear the steps squeaking as it's coming up. And it kind of hovered in the room. And Ralph throws the cover over his head, of course. He's like, no. But Jerry got up and it started going back down the stairs. And he followed it, and it just disappeared. There was nobody up sleeping, walking around or anything like that. So that was an interesting encounter in of itself. You guys ever have any encounters of your own? Let me know what it is. Okay. The number 2 story I'm going to talk about is college during summer break. Now, these are true strange encounters, okay, by people. Okay. I worked as a live-in staff member in a college dormitory. During the summer, we housed a few summer school students who remained on campus, about 30 of them. It may be significant to point out these students tended towards the highly academic motivated, oftentimes high-stress students, but quiet. One warm day in late June, my office received a call from a concerned sibling that she and her family were unable to reach her brother who lived by himself in a room on the summer school floor. This wasn't unusual, as our office frequently dealt with students avoiding their kith and kin due to frayed nerves or just general social awkwardness. Our normal protocol to check on a student is to try and reach them by emergency contact info. Failing that, go check their room to verify they're living in the building and perhaps available then and there. Then we had them call their family to verify. We followed up on the original request. Also, we are to only enter a room with another staff member present to ensure personal safety of staff and students. I failed to reach a student of this room in mobile phone and was working short-staffed, so since I was on my own, I decided to pop in and check on him. I arrived on his first floor around 2 in the afternoon. The floor seemed deserted, as I expected, of course, and I found his room number and noticed the sound of a movie playing on a TV or computer from behind the door. I knocked 3 times and announced that I was a staff member checking on his health and safety. No answer. I didn't think this was that remarkable. College students are notorious for leaving electronics running while not in the room. I checked the floor, showers, and bathrooms and found them deserted. I returned to his door and knocked 3 more times, waiting about 20 seconds in between. No answer. This is when my instincts started to buzz. I worked in residence halls a number of years as a professional, and something about all the pieces of this puzzle weren't adding up. Family concerned about his health and safety, electronics running, someone must have started them, within the time frame, summer school students and their behavior, something wasn't right. I was by myself, so I probably let myself get more worked up and let my imagination run wild. A deserted dorm floor, even at 2 in the afternoon, evokes memories of the Overlook Hotel, of course. I decided that for some of the closure or sanity I needed, the immediate resolution of keying into the student's room, even though I was by myself and not technically supposed to do that. I knocked on the door 1 more time for good measure, again announced myself. I keyed into the room, and my spider sense went off even stronger. Ever have your spidey senses you just know something's not right? The room appeared relatively vacant. The student appeared to be living out of a suitcase, which is unusual for someone staying no less than 8 weeks. The bedding was tousled like someone had been sleeping, and all the lights in the room were on. As I had suspected, there was an open laptop on a desk running on battery power, playing The Matrix. Ironic, no? I began to start rationalizing to keep from feeling unsettled. Surely the student and I had crossed paths. I'd never met him before, so I wouldn't recognize him, and perhaps he was just down picking up delivery food for a late lunch. Then I turned to leave, planning on trying to reach the student later in the afternoon or in the evening. As I turned to leave, I noticed another odd piece of evidence. The accordion closet doors, which I removed in most rooms due to disuse, were still in his room, and they were closed. Odd. I couldn't remember the last time I actually saw someone use those cranky, dysfunctional doors. Then my spidey senses spiked higher. Shit. I realized I was alone in the room with a potentially suicidal student who may, in fact, completed just that. And I'm about to be that guy who discovers the body and has a storm of paperwork and undesirable tasks, not the least of which would be calling the family back to break the news. I felt like I was talking to myself, and my voice cracked as I spoke to the closed doors and announced my name and title, and I would be opening those doors in 3 seconds. I fumbled with the latch on the doors and finally managed to get them disengaged. And as I slid the doors apart, I was unprepared. I didn't know what I expected. A hanging, a gunshot wound. I'll tell you what I didn't expect. A 7-foot, dark-skinned Indian man staring at me, as though I had found his secret hangout. We stared at each other for a good 15 seconds without breathing or speaking. I finally realized what was going on, and my natural emotion was disbelief. All I could think to say was, are you hiding from me? And he answered, yeah. My heart was still racing. I turned to leave before I shut his door. I turned back to him and said, call your sister. She's worried about you. And frankly, I am too. Did you really, did you ever go and something like that happens, your imagination just goes totally wild. Thanks for stopping in. Again, I'm typing. Okay. Yeah, thanks for stopping in. Did you ever have something like where your imagination just runs totally wild? You hear a noise. Excuse me. You hear a noise and you think, oh my God, there's something on the other side of that door. Yeah. And, all your spidey senses are tingling. You're thinking, oh my God, there's some maniac and da-da-da-da. And it's nothing like your imagination, was telling you. So, it's just spooky, crazy things that, you just imagine is going to happen. Yeah, I think we all did at this point because we all love this sci-fi stuff. And also, check up next week. We're going to talk about USOs. Do you know what USOs are? And this should be interesting. Yeah. Oh, you still have it. You still have it. Yeah, you just, if you're home alone, you hear a noise in the middle of the night, or your dog starts growling at something in the hallway and nothing's there. Yeah, I think we all did. That's why we're here, Ike. Oh, underwater. Ooh. And it was, the dog starts growling for no reason, looking into the hallway, and you're like, whoever's there, please go away. You ever have any ghostly encounters of any kind? I have. It's kind of creepy. My Xbox was turned on. This is recently, and the tray was open, and the only way you can open that tray is by the remote, for the Xbox remote. So, yeah, USOs. Yeah, unidentified submersible objects. I think that's going to be an interesting topic. I had not heard of these until about a month ago. So I started doing some research, and it's really kind of creepy, but it's interesting. USOs, yes, unidentified submersible objects. So yeah, I think that's going to be kind of interesting. Tonight we're just talking about some really strange encounters and things that happen, in real life. Yeah, me either. Yeah, you have been, but USOs, unidentified submersible objects. So that is one place I had never thought of for an identified object. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be really cool. So that'll be next week. But yeah, I thought that was a really interesting subject because I had not heard of that. Yes, ma'am. Every Tuesday until The Walking Dead comes back, and then when it's off again, then I'll be back. Yeah, every Tuesday. Unfortunately, I had to work till 10 tonight, so it's running late. I'm off next Tuesday, I believe, so it'll be a little earlier. Well, that's where they could be. That's where they could be based from, Ike. You think? I don't. Maybe they're not in space. Yes, it is, Valerie. Every Tuesday. So, and I apologize because I had to work late tonight, but What the heck? I hate when that happens.